Let's talk about something we've all seen. A woman says she wants a kind, stable, good guy. But then you watch her choices, and they tell a completely different story. The good man gets put in the friend zone, while the unpredictable, maybe even a little harsh guy, well, he's the one she can't seem to get out of her head. So what is actually going on here? It's a really uncomfortable pattern when you think about it, right? The safe, predictable man gets forgotten. But the one who represents some kind of risk, he becomes an obsession. This happens so often that we have to ask why. What's going on under the surface? Why do her instincts seem to pull her toward the very thing her brain tells her to avoid? Okay, let me be absolutely clear about one thing before we go any further. This is not, and I repeat, not an endorsement of toxic or cruel behavior. Not at all. What this is about is understanding the deep, hidden wiring behind attraction. We're going to look at the ancient, instinctual part of the human brain. You know, the part that doesn't really care about politeness, but responds to much older, more primal signals. So, here's how we're going to unpack this. We're going to look at three key forces at play. First, the power of intensity. Second, the signal of strength. And third, the fascinating pull of what we'll call the danger factor. Then, we'll bring it all home with the final takeaway. And hey, before we dive in, if you're interested in really understanding the hidden forces behind human behavior, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. That way, you won't miss out on what we cover next. All right, let's get right into it with our first major force, the power of intensity. This is where we figure out why just being nice all the time can, surprisingly, be a deal breaker. You see, here's the classic mistake the good man makes. He offers total comfort and safety from day one. He's an open book, he's always available, and his behavior becomes completely predictable. And you know what predictability leads to? Routine. And routine, in attraction, can feel, well, boring. There's no emotional tension. The intense man, on the other hand, operates differently. He has his own boundaries, his own life. He isn't always around, not because he's playing a game, but because he's genuinely focused on his own mission. This creates a powerful contrast, an emotional peak and valley that makes him totally unforgettable. And you know what? There's some serious science that explains this. Our brains are literally hardwired to respond more strongly to uncertainty. A guaranteed reward is nice, sure. It gives you a little hit of dopamine. But an uncertain reward, one you're not sure you're gonna get, that floods your brain with dopamine. It's a system called intermittent reinforcement, and it's the exact same principle that makes slot machines so addictive. You keep pulling the lever because you never know when the jackpot will hit. A man whose attention is not a guarantee taps directly into this powerful brain chemistry. The emotional roller coaster is neurologically more engaging than a smooth, flat road. And this brings us to the core of what controlled intensity really is. Let's be very specific. This is not about being a jerk. It's not about creating chaos just for fun. It's about having a mission in life. A purpose that's bigger than just winning someone's approval. It's the ability to be completely present with someone, to make them feel like they're the only person in the world, and then, just as confidently, to turn your attention back to your own path. That combination of deep focus and independent direction is incredibly magnetic. It signals that you have a rich world of your own, and you're inviting her in, not that you need her to be your whole world. So what does this actually look like day to day? Well, it's a fundamental mindset. When you're with her, you are 100% with her. Your phone is put away, your mind isn't wandering. But then, when it's time to work on your goals, you do that without apology. You don't feel the need to text back in seconds because your focus is dedicated to the task at hand. You don't spill your entire life story on the first date because you understand that a little mystery is what keeps things interesting. This isn't about playing games. It's about having a solid center of gravity. It shows you have a compelling life, and that is attractive in itself. Now, let's move on to the second major force, the signal of strength. This is where we get into the really tricky paradox of how being too kind can accidentally signal weakness. This is a trap that so many genuinely good men fall into. They think that being endlessly agreeable and accommodating is a sign of maturity. So they'll cancel their plans at a moment's notice, they'll change their opinions to match hers, and they will bend over backwards to avoid any kind of disagreement. But on a deep, instinctual level, this can send a very different message. It can signal that he doesn't have a backbone, that he's afraid of confrontation, that his sense of self depends entirely on her approval. He's trying to be a gentleman, but what her gut instinct might be seeing is someone who is easy to control. You have to remember this wiring goes way, way back. For tens of thousands of years, a woman's survival often depended on her ability to choose a partner who was strong, capable, and respected by the tribe, someone who could protect and provide. And that ancient software is still running in the background today. Her subconscious mind isn't really checking a box for polite. It's scanning for cues of strength, capability, and respect. In today's world, that doesn't mean being a brute. It means having ambition, holding firm boundaries, and earning the respect of others. It's not a judgment. It's just a primal instinct at work. And here's the key. The man who sometimes gets mislabeled as cruel often isn't cruel at all. He just has his own priorities straight. He possesses something you could call quiet authority. He's able to say no calmly, without getting aggressive or defensive about it. He won't compromise his core principles just to make someone happy. His validation comes from within, not from external approval. And that kind of solid, unshakable core is incredibly attractive because it signals profound stability and self-respect. He's a rock, not a leaf blowing in the wind. So practically speaking, this is a man on a path. He knows what he wants from his life. He has clear goals, and he's built routines to help him achieve them. If someone else is having a bad day, it doesn't throw his entire world off its axis. He keeps moving forward, whether he gets approval for it or not. See, the typical good guy often puts his own life on pause, waiting for her green light. The strong man is already walking his path, and he simply invites her to walk with him. That is a world of difference, and it's incredibly compelling. And that brings us to our third and final piece of the puzzle, the danger factor. This is all about the deep-seated psychological pull of a challenge, the fantasy of being the one to tame something wild and powerful. Let's be real for a second. A man who isn't an open book, who is a little bit of a challenge to figure out, he becomes more than just a potential partner. He becomes a story to unravel, a puzzle to solve, an experience to be had. The good guy often lays all his cards on the table immediately. There's no mystery left to explore. But the intense man, he has layers. And the process of peeling back those layers, of earning his trust, creates a powerful sense of fascination and investment. It makes the entire interaction memorable. And once again, this is all rooted in our brain chemistry. When we're faced with a controlled risk, an emotional uncertainty, our bodies give us a rush. The feeling of not quite knowing what will happen next releases adrenaline and dopamine. It's a chemical cocktail that makes us feel sharp, focused, and very, very alive. She isn't looking for actual physical danger, of course. She's drawn to the thrilling feeling that comes from a psychological adventure. And this really sums up the difference, doesn't it? The good man brings calm and comfort, and that is incredibly valuable, especially in a long-term partnership. But the intense man brings contrast. He brings excitement. He brings a feeling of being alive. He makes her feel things on a much deeper level. And that's why a woman can be hung up on a guy for years, even if the relationship itself was a total mess. It's not about logic. It's about the powerful emotional mark that he left. So let's nail this down one last time, because it's crucial. True magnetism is not cruelty. It's not manipulation. It's not being toxic. It is intensity that has a clear direction. It is having strong personal boundaries combined with the ability to be deeply present. The energy that she is drawn to isn't that of a predator. It's the energy of a man who is in control of his own world, his own emotions, and his own destiny. Okay, so let's tie all of this together now. When you stock up these three forces, intensity, strength, and the danger factor, one core truth becomes crystal clear. Powerful initial attraction is almost never driven by a desire for simple comfort. It's driven by emotional impact. Let's look at the breakdown. Intensity creates emotional tension, which is far more memorable than flat, predictable kindness. Strength, which is shown through your own priorities and boundaries, signals your high value and deep stability. And that little element of danger, that mystery, is what creates a lasting fascination. These aren't just tricks. They are the natural byproducts of a man who has built a solid foundation for himself. And if there's one thing you remember from all of this, let it be this. Kindness is essential, but kindness alone is not enough. Kindness without strength can come across as weakness. Kindness without intensity feels empty and forgettable. And kindness without boundaries is just a recipe for being taken for granted. This is the core reason why so many good guys lose. It's not because they're bad. It's because their kindness wasn't backed by anything else, and ultimately they failed to make a real impact. I know this is a pretty intense topic, so I really want to ask you, have you seen this dynamic play out, this choice between the good guy and the intense one, maybe in your own life or in the lives of people you know? If this is the kind of analysis you appreciate, one that goes beneath the surface, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I'm really curious to hear your take on this, so please share your experience and your perspective down in the comments below. Thanks for watching.